Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and today we're reviewing the Ariel Rider D-Class, a dual motor, super fast electric bike. So let's get into this review. One quick favor before we get started: if you are looking to purchase an Ariel Rider electric bike or any of the other electric bikes that I cover on Ebike Escape, please check out the links in the description. I'll have a link to Ariel Rider's website as well as a link to our top e-bike brands page where you can find some of our favorite electric bike brands. I'll also have a link to my electric bike deals page as well as my electric bike accessories list. Using those links within help me out. With that, let's get to the walk around, and then I'm going to show you some first person riding footage, and then finally we'll get to more riding footage and my concluding thoughts on the Ariel Rider D-Class. So let's get to it. All right, let's get to the walk around of the Ariel Rider D-Class dual motor electric bike. We'll start up here in the front, and of course you can see that front motor in between the inverted suspension fork. I do find that the suspension fork is pretty stiff, although it does loosen up over time. And one thing to note is that if you are looking to purchase this bike, the box that it comes with, the front wheel is actually attached, so it is a fairly large box. But the nice thing is you don't need to worry about putting this front tire on that also has the motor. You don't have to worry about the electrical connection, so I really appreciated the fact that this bike was fairly simple to put together. So up front we have these Kenda 20 by 4 inch wide tires. They do have some tread, so definitely capable of doing a little bit more off-roading. I know when I got our Ariel Rider X-Class that has more street tires, so something to keep in mind. And these rims do have the holes cut out to reduce the weight a little bit. And then we have these 180 millimeter disc rotors and Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. So I've been using our Ariel Rider X-Class as well as the D-Class now this spring a little bit, and I really like the hydraulic disc brakes. Definitely provides plenty of stopping power, and you don't need to worry as much about adjusting these brakes, so they function very well. And here's a closer look at those cables. You can see that the power cable for the front motor comes up into the frame here. And then we have other cables going in on either side of the headlight here, down into the down tube, and then again, other cables coming in on the other side of what would be the top tube. And then here's the cable management up front, obviously with all the brakes and the LCD screen. And you could probably wrap this a little bit nicer, get something that brings all of these cables together. I've seen some people do this on the Facebook group, so you can definitely check that out. And I'll try to show this in my riding footage at night, but I really like this front light. Definitely gives you lots of visibility on the road with other motorists. Okay, let's move on to the cockpit. First, we have the Ariel Rider branded grips, and there are plugs on the end. I will be putting some half-knee bar end mirrors, and if you are curious about other accessories that I'm going to put on this D-Class, be sure to subscribe because I will be doing a video on all of the accessories that I put on this D-Class. And then we have the Tektro hydraulic disc brakes with motor cutoffs. Again, an important safety feature. And then we have the power for the bike here. That's the center button. And then we have a plus and minus for pedal assist. And this switches between the different motors. So if it's in the middle here, that's going to be both motors. If it's on the left, that's going to be your rear motor. And if it's all the way to the right, that is going to be the front motor only. Again, you might want to do this depending if you want to save on battery, and it's actually something that I use quite frequently. Sometimes you just want the extra boost and you can go in dual motor, and other times if you're just cruising along, you don't necessarily need the crazy acceleration, you can go in one motor. So that's a really nice benefit to having the two motors and being able to switch between them. Okay, and then we have the LCD screen, so I'm going to power it up here, and this is probably my favorite LCD screen of any electric bike that I've reviewed. It's a nice color display. You have tons of functionality in the advanced settings. In fact, I actually just turned the brightness up so you could see it a little bit better on camera. You can see we have the time and the battery percentage, the watts, miles per hour, time, trip, and it's still branded with Ariel Rider, range, max speed 31.7, average speed 7.4. And then pressing the power button twice will get you into those advanced settings. And Ariel Rider has a nice guide online if you're curious about all of these settings. So really like the advanced settings in this display. Plus it just looks great. And it is nice having the display kind of centered as opposed to off the left. I know some people do like the smaller displays that are kind of out of the way, but I think it really works on the D-Class. And then over on the right, we have a bell. And then we have a 7-speed Shimano shifter, thumb shifter that you see on many electric bikes. And then of course on the right here, you have the twist grip throttle, which I really like. If you are going to be using the throttle a lot, it is, in my opinion, better to have a twist grip because you can kind of lock it in place. Of course, you want to be careful to make sure you're doing so safely. But I do find with the thumb throttles that my thumb gets a little bit more tired than the twist grip throttles. So again, something that's personal preference, but I do prefer that on this D-Class. And one thing to keep in mind is with these handlebars, one of the great things is it's more of an upright riding style compared to, say, the Ariel Rider X-Class. So you can kind of choose perhaps what kind of riding style you like the best. And as I mentioned, when I first was assembling the bike, it's really easy to just pop the handlebars in here, and they are adjustable to some extent. There is a minimum insertion, so you need to be mindful of that. The only downside of these handlebars is you are somewhat limited on some of the accessories that you can put here because it wouldn't work very well to put on handlebar mirrors because you just have limited area here. Of course, I could remove the bell, but then the handlebar mirrors perhaps won't go wide enough. So I'm going to put on bar end mirrors. The other thing is because of the display is so large here, you just have limited space. Of course, you could put a light here, so just something to keep in mind. But you do have this additional bar here if you wanted to put something. I've actually been putting my phone down here with our cell phone mount, which I'll get back on here when I do my accessories for the D-Class video. Moving on, we have this cup holder that fits nicely between the top tube, just a nice touch for the company to include. And then you also have the bottle cage bosses here, of course, as well as the Ariel Rider logo. Well-go pedals, really standard on electric bikes. I like putting other pedals on. I have some listed in my electric bike accessories list if you want to check those out, but these do just fine. And they do have the shorter kickstand mounted all the way to the back, really sturdy. And then you can see here, we actually have the cable coming down for the motor. It goes all the way through the frame, so nice cable management there. And actually the line for the hydraulic disc brakes comes in underneath the down tube here and moves to the brakes back here. And I do want to talk briefly about this seat. I do find it is quite comfortable. My wife and I have been both on this bike, and we do prefer this seat compared to the one found on our Ariel Rider X-Class. So definitely comfortable, like it a lot. So nice job, Ariel Rider, on the seat here. And one thing that I didn't talk about is the front fender. It is a shorter fender. It doesn't come all the way down, so something to keep in mind. But the rear fender does offer plenty of protection. And since we are on this side, of course, we can see this nice chain guard, but you can also see the pedal assist disc. So once that starts spinning, it reads that and will kick in the motor when you're using pedal assist. Okay, moving on to the derailleur. Shimano Altus, very common on electric bikes, especially in the $1,000 to $2,000 price range. You do see sometimes they opt for something a little bit more higher end, but I find that Shimano Altus is sufficient for most people's needs. And the D-Class does come with pegs which go here, but I found that they aren't as stable as I would like, so I actually bought some on Amazon. Again, that will be in my Ariel Rider D-Class accessories video coming up, and so I'll share some higher quality ones that I opted to purchase. And one other small thing that I do like to recommend is buying some clear tape. Again, this is on our accessories list. It's some 3M tape, and we like to put this on parts of the bike that might otherwise get scratched, so this prevents the chain from hitting and damaging the frame. And we also put some up here to prevent any rubbing from the cables. So something you want to keep in mind if you want to keep your bike looking extra nice. And then in the back here, we obviously have the other 750 watt motor. Moving on to the rear of the bike, we have the nice Ariel Rider logo. I think it looks really sharp. And I do have the lights turned on, but it is daylight, so you might not be able to see that the rear light here that attaches and is integrated into the battery is actually turned on. And one thing to remember is the bike does have an on-off switch here in the back, so you want to make sure that's powered on before you actually try to turn on your electric bike, otherwise it's not going to turn on. And then you do have the ability to charge the bike either on or off the bike. And there's the plug there. And I will just pull this off just so you can see the battery a little bit better. And the keyhole for unlocking the battery from the bike is actually right here. And we've been labeling our electric bike keys, so something to consider if you often get confused like we do. So I'm going to unlock the battery here, and we'll pull it off so you can see it. It slides on the rails. So there's the battery, 48 volt, 18 amp hour battery, quite large. On the website, they say that they are using Samsung cells. And you can see there's the rails that the battery goes on. All right, that completes the walk around. Let's get to some first person riding footage. I'm going to share just how fast this electric bike goes. I will also take it up the large hill, and you can see just how powerful the dual motors are. And then I'll share with you some more riding footage that I took with my 360 camera. All right, let's get to it. And just to give you one other height comparison, so I'm 6 feet tall, and we have Kara here. Kara helps me out with some things on Ebike Escape. And how tall are you, Kara?
I'm 5'4" and a half.
Okay, so let's see how the Ariel Rider D-Class fits you. And you're able to touch the ground just fine, it looks like.
Yes.
So definitely capable for riders who are a little bit shorter than perhaps me. So if you want to take off, let's see how you go.
All right.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do some top speed runs with one motor and then with both motors. I'll talk a little bit about pedal assist, and then we'll go up the giant hill that I go up in all of my reviews. So let's start with the rear motor here, and we'll see how fast it goes. This isn't completely flat, but close enough. So throttle only, got the speed here on my phone, and if you can read the speed on the D-Class, we'll see how close it is. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. $21, $23, $25, $26, $27, $28, $29, so definitely in the high 20s with just one motor. All right, let's turn around both motors, and you'll note that my front tire kind of spins out, and I'll try my best to use as much throttle as I can from the start. All right, here we go. Both motors on. 3, 2, 1, go. 15, 19, 24, 27, 29, turn around and just make sure that that was correct. We'll do 2 motors again. Ready, 3, 2, 1, go. So about 29 miles per hour with both motors, maybe slightly less on one motor, but obviously with the dual motors, you're just getting far more acceleration. So now I want to talk a little bit about pedal assist for those who actually think they might pedal this bike. Personally for us, if I want to take a bike that I'm going to pedal, I'll take something else, but we'll go in rear motor only, and I'll turn pedal assist 1 on here. All right, pedal assist 1. And I'm already in the highest gear, so 7th gear, smallest cog on the back. And while I am providing some power, it's not a ton, and remember only 1 motor is on. Let's go in pedal assist 2. And I was going about 14 before. I'm going 15. All right, let's go pedal assist 3. And now the pedals are starting to spin where I have to kind of try a lot harder to provide some of my own power to the motor. So that just gives you an idea. Of course, if you're going up a hill and those sort of things, I think it's always a good idea to try to help the motors out a little bit. Let's go both motors, pedal assist 1. Again, still providing some help to the bike. Pedal assist 2 and 3. So pretty similar. Of course, with both motors, you just feel a little bit more acceleration. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of idea if you think you might want to pedal this bike. There's a lot of folks who will upgrade to a larger chainring in the front. So something to think about. All right, now we're gonna head to the large hill and watch the D-Class and just demolish it, because I know it's just gonna make it up no problem. Okay, so here's the large hill that I take up almost every electric bike that I review. And in my last video, someone was kind enough to find the hill on Strava, which is a biking app, if you aren't familiar. And so he shared with me the grade and how long it took me to get up on that bike. So I'll post his text that he shared with me so you can view the grade. It's a very, very large hill. And like I said, I'm not going to pedal, I'm just going to throttle it up. Spoiler alert, the D-Class can pretty much handle any hill. So here we go. All right, the hill hasn't quite started just yet. All right, we'll give it on. So at 29, 27, 25. It's just no problem with the dual motors. And if you are curious, I have a video that I took the X-Class up this hill, so I'll put a link in the top corner of the screen in case you want to check that video out as well. The X-Class was very impressive on this hill as well, so there we go, 25 miles an hour, pretty much the whole entire way. So yes, the D-Class is awesome at handling hills, pretty much awesome at everything. I don't think there's much terrain that, except for maybe like some super technical off-roading, but okay, with that, let's get to some other riding footage and I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Ariel Rider D-Class. Alright, I know when I did my Ariel Rider X-Class review that I said that was the most fun that I've had on an electric bike. I think the D-Class takes the cake with its dual motors. If you've been watching my channel, you know I am a huge fan of dual motor electric bikes. The performance is unmatched and the versatility of a dual motor electric bike makes a world of difference in loose conditions like snow, sand, or gravel. Now of course this is an e-bike, but it fits solidly in the moped style e-bike category, and my perspective is that these types of e-bikes aren't conducive to pedaling compared to a more standard frame, though that certainly doesn't stop some people from doing so. Just check out the Ariel Rider Facebook group. But where this bike really shines is using it well, more like a moped. My wife and I have a blast going downtown on the D-Class for a night out, and for zipping around town it is an incredible tool. For size comparison purposes, my wife is 5'5" and she is able to hop on the D-Class comfortably. The bike measures about 33 or 34 inches to the top of the seat, depending on where you sit. The D-Class puts you in a comfortable riding position, and as you can see, not only is it capable on the road, but off as well, just in case you find yourself in the middle of a Christmas tree farm. And if you don't want to chew up that 18 amp hour battery, you can always put it in front wheel or rear wheel drive, which is a huge benefit. Range is going to vary quite significantly depending on acceleration, the speed you're going, rider weight, etc. If you're really cranking on the throttle using both motors on the lower end, you're looking at about 20 miles. With one motor and pedaling, you can extend your range quite significantly up to perhaps 40 miles. Using dual motors, this bike is incredibly powerful, so much so that if you don't ease the throttle, your front tire won't have traction. So be careful. These are dual 750 watt motors that peak at 1500 watts each after all. But if you contain the beast, you're in for an absolute treat, and I feel like Ariel Rider is starting to get the recognition they deserve for having some of the fastest e-bikes on the market. As always, be aware of local regulations in your area. Note that you can set speed limiter settings within the display. And let's not forget about the price. The D-Class is currently priced at $23.99, but keep in mind you can still get a 48 volt X-Class for only $15.99. Suffice to say that Ariel Rider e-bikes are priced extremely well compared to the competition. And I have to say, I really like the way the D-Class is outfitted. From the front light to the vibrant color display, the comfy seat and handlebars, and if you want storage options, Ariel Rider also sells both a front basket and a rear rack. While there is nothing wrong with batteries mounted in the down tube of e-bikes, the D-Class's under-seat battery makes it so you have tons of options for frame bags in the triangle. Of course, if you don't need the storage space and want the extra range, perhaps you should also check out the Ariel Rider Grizzly, which offers dual batteries, dual motors like the D-Class, and dual suspension. It provides even more power with its 52 volt system. The D-Class also feels solid and has a weight capacity of 320 pounds. So if you're looking for one of the fastest moped style electric bikes available and think the dual motors might benefit you, then you won't be disappointed with the D-Class. Not only is the performance awesome, but it simply looks cool. If you enjoyed this review, please consider subscribing and give it a like, as it makes videos like this possible. I'll have more content on the D-Class coming soon, including my D-Class accessories video. Check out relevant links in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Some writing on e-bike. Oh.
Start over. I didn't know where to look. Where do I look?
No, I forgot what I was going to say. Here we go. Kara helps me. You gotta stop laughing.
This is natural. This is like we have a repertoire.
Oh, okay.
I said 5'4" and a half. I meant and a half.
All right, ready?
Yes.